Following the last video, we're going to continue building the chip component here. Somehow we need to manage the state to store the selected chips, right? So I'm going to work on group specific. Let's just start with creating the story just by copy pasting and rename it to group right here. Then you're going to see the group story that renders exactly the same. In this specific story, I'm going to iterate with the array. I just want to render the 10 different items on this story. So I'll be using array constructor this time, array.from, and we're going to create 10 items. And we're going to iterate using map higher order function. This higher order function receives value of each element of the array and index as a second parameter. We cannot use this value because what is actually happening inside of this array is kind of looking like this. Each element does not have a value, so we're not going to use this. Instead, we'll be using index to render dynamically here. So pass the key, which is index, and we're going to pass the value to each chip, right? Behind the scene, this chip selectable is the checkbox, right? So here, I'm going to pass the index as a value, and we're going to have onChange function to manage the state in the near future, okay? For now, I'm going to pass the anonymous function that doesn't do anything. Yeah, looking good. Let's update the style quickly. Currently, this is selectable, but it's overflowing. Let's wrap it, okay? Flex wrap. Then you're going to see looking like this. And each label needed to be changed to, instead of default here, I'm going to say item and index for the dynamic value. Nice. Yeah, it's wrapping properly and then push the element to the next line, right? Yeah, I like it. With that, I'm gonna have a state called items, and then it's gonna have set items setter from use state hook. This guy will be holding the list of strings because whatever the value you're getting from the HTML element will be string, and initially it's going to be an empty array. Let's say I want to add a checkbox to item 0 just by adding 0, which is a string. Then somehow we should be able to look like this, right? So in order to do that, I'm gonna do checked attribute and give the value that is items includes the index, but index is the number, whereas it's expecting the string, right? So I'm gonna have .toString. I can increase a little bit so that it's more visible. Yeah, so when items that include this index that is a string, then it's gonna add a check mark, right? Try to add one more here, maybe this time item 9. Take a look, right? That's how it's working. Now we should be able to update this guy too, right? So I'm gonna have just small function called handle change here. In this function, I want to receive the event that is from onChange function, which is from input element, okay? So I'm gonna say event change event from React that is for HTML input element. Then we can find it out what value is currently changing, right? I'm gonna have value from event.currentTarget the values like that. And then I'll rename it to item change. When I click this, then this will be unchecked, and then we're gonna get items changed, okay? Then with that item changed, we're gonna check if the items includes the item changed, okay? what it means it's checked, right? If that's the case, I'm going to remove this item, change it from this array. We can do this way, okay? Set items, and then with the previous value, I'm going to filter it, okay? What I want to filter out is the value that is matching with the items changed. So I'm going to say item that is not equal to item changed. And take a look. Oh, sorry, I didn't pass it yet. Sorry, my bad. Let's pass it here. Then it works. But I cannot edit, right? So what I want to do is doing the if check, right? If, let's give it a variable name so that it's going to be a little bit better. It's checked, or whichever works for you. If it's a check, then we're gonna set items with the filtered out. Otherwise, I'm gonna set items and it's time to add, right? So in this case, I'm gonna get the graph and destructure it and add item changes. Take a look what is gonna happen, okay? Oh, look at that. It's working beautiful, right? This is exactly what I want. Here, before we move to the next, I want to quickly refactor a little bit because we have some duplicating code. Items.include, right? So here I'm gonna have a new function called isChecked, okay? And this guy will be receiving the string that is a value, okay? And then we'll be checking this item include the value or not. Then we can just replace right here, right? Is checked. We have a naming duplication, but do not worry, I'm gonna update it soon. And I want to use it here too. Okay. Is it checked? Index.toString, right? Looking good. I want to refactor here to make it a little bit more readable. Currently, we have filtering out logic and adding more value, right? What I want to do here is, maybe let's do this. I'm going to say new items as an example. If this guy is a truthy, then I want to get this guy, okay? But at the moment, we don't have a prefs. So instead of prefs, I'll be using this items directly, okay? Yeah, like that. Sorry, new items, right? And then let's try to comment it out and delete these guys. And then otherwise, again, we don't have pref here. So I'm going to say items. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. Then with the new items, we can set item like this. Yeah, it's a little bit more, shorter version of it, but it can drop a little bit of readability, but I think it should be good. Yeah, let's do this. Yeah. So setting item, after checking if this guy is checked or not. And then if it's checked, then we're going to filter it out. Otherwise, we're going to add item. Yeah, I like it. I like it. What I want to do next is I want to manage all these logics inside of the group. Currently, we are having the div tag, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be a component, right? So what I would do is creating small component down here, okay? For now, I'm creating here, but we need to move it to new file. But just to see everything in one place, I'm gonna create component here, okay? RFC and the ChipGroup. And then we're gonna export like that, okay? Here, we have div tag with all these styling, right? So my plan is I'm going to have ChipGroup here like that. Oh, whatever. And then we'll have the class name inside of the ChipGroup like this. And we have a bunch of children here, right? We cannot pass everything to inside. We need to make it dynamic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to accept prompts from parent component that includes children, which is React node. Then with this, we're going to accept children from here and then replace this hard-coded value. Yeah, then it's exactly working the same, right? But we are not accepting class names yet. But somehow, just in case we want to override certain things, I'll be accepting the class name as well. But I'm going to make it optional, okay? And then we'll be receiving it and then pass this guy to our class name. I'm going to wrap it with the cn so that we can override it with the class names that we are receiving from parent component. Yeah, looking good, looking good. And this state management, I want it to be done via the ChipGroup, not this component directly, okay? Because I want it to happen automatically instead of revealing all these logics outside. I don't want developers to write it each time whenever they use the chip, right? So I'll be moving everything to inside here. And I want it to accept these state, and then I want to have onChange function to handle additional stuff, okay? So what I would do is ChipGroup will be accepting values. It's more generic name, and then pass the items here. And we're going to have onChange function, and then we can pass set items. So this is something that I want to achieve here, okay? In order to do that, we're going to get the prompts here. Values will be list of strings, and this one also optional, and onChange function that is optional and returns void, okay? When this onChange function is called, we need to pass the values, latest values, that is list of strings. Then in here, we'll be accepting values, initially empty array and onChange. Then instead of items, we are going to replace with values and values, just to making it a little bit more make sense. And this set items doesn't exist here, right? So I'm going to say if onChange is existing, then we're going to call it, okay? But I don't like this question mark. Initially, we don't even need to find the item, change it if onChange function doesn't exist. So I'm going to do if check here. If onChange function is a true, then I will do everything. Otherwise, don't do anything, right? Not necessarily needed to do all these unless we have onChange functions. Yeah, looking good. Then now, we need to figure out how to pass these functions to our ChipSelectable components. And these two values need to be passed to ChipSelectable, right? In this case, not to do prop drilling, we're going to use context API, okay? Here, I'm going to create the context. There are 3 stages that we need to do. First thing is create context. Second thing, provide provider. And third thing, use context. So there are 3 large steps that we need to do. Let's do first thing first here. I'm going to create context using API from React, and I'm going to name it to ChipGroup context. Initially, I'm going to say undefined because we're not going to pass the context all the times. So I'm going to leave it as undefined initially. If you want to be a little bit more explicit, you can create the type that is chip context, ChipGroup context type that includes these 2 functions. onChange here and easy check the function. So I'm gonna have each check function will be available, right? Each check the function would take value that is a string, right? So I can pass that here. And this handle change function will receive all these, right? If you want, you can name it to handle change, but I'm gonna rename it to onChange. Wait, sorry, I think it gotta be colon instead. Yeah, these two are what we need in the chip selectable, right? So I'll be passing here or undefined. This is the creating context. So this will be the context that we need inside of the other component. And then with the chip group context, we're gonna provide a provider inside of the chip group dot provider, like that. And then we're gonna provide the value of the context, which will be an object. One is easy check, and the other one is onChange. Just a passing handle change here like that. Then onChange function will be handle change at the end of the day. Yeah, looking good. Then now it's time to use the context, but we don't have a way to do it, right? So we're gonna use the context, and then with the chip group context, then this guy at the end will return the value that we need here, like that. We're gonna get the it checked and all different stuff. But we cannot use it directly like this, right? This hook needed to be used inside of the component. So to do that, I'm gonna have one function called use ChipGroup. This guy will be returning the context from this guy, okay? And then I will be exporting it so that I can use it outside. Yeah, we have a little bit of, issue, right? But this one, don't worry, it'll be fine. And then inside of chip selectable, I'll be calling this guy and get the necessary values. Okay. Yeah, in this case, it's a little complaining because I didn't build the context inside of the component. That's why it's having a little bit of an issue. The story should use Pascal case or that. They think this one is a story. So now I think since we have a little bit of problem, let's just try to move to another file here. I'm going to call it chipgroup.tsx. And inside here, I'll be cutting everything related to chipgroup here. Let's move it right here like this. Yeah. And then make sure everything is imported correctly. This is wrong import. So we need to import it from React and everything is looking good. Then I'm gonna hit save to import correctly. And these two are not existing, right? So let's just delete these, maybe cut it. And then inside of the chip selectable, we're gonna pass it here directly, like that. Then we should be able to get necessary values. This guy will be returning the context. The context, oh, interesting. This guy doesn't know where it is. Let me just go. Wrong import. I gotta delete that and re-import. Yep. This guy is receiving the context type or undefined, right? So we need to handle it dynamically. And this index is coming from the value, actually. So we'll be receiving the value. Since we're using the value here, then we should not forget to pass the value here directly. Otherwise, the value will not be passed to input properly. So that's why. And in this case, input can be string or number or the list of string, which is read-only, right? So Then we need to check a couple of things here. Easy checked is not defined. This is another thing. Then we can get it from context like that. But context can be undefined, right? So then it's gonna complain a little bit more. Easy checked will be returning the void here. Somehow I think something is off. Let me just quickly check inside of the chip group. Oh, this guy gotta return the boolean, right? Sorry, my bad. Gotta return the boolean. Then I think it's a little bit better. Okay, so looking good. But this guy is accepting a string, right? Undefined is not acceptable. So in this case, we need to say or to pass value right? Yeah, looking good. Let's just shut down the sidebar. And then we need to have onChange function, right? I'm gonna create one new function called handle change in this component as well. And then I'll be passing it right here. Then we're gonna receive the event that is change event from React for HTML input element. And with the event, I'm gonna call the context onChange function. If it exists, of course, pass the event straight at. And at the same time, we also need to worry about onChange function is coming from the parent component directly right here. So I'm gonna get the onChange function, and then we'll be calling it too, but only when it exists. Yeah, two different location, one from context and the one from the parent component directly. Yeah, looking good. Then everything is looking good based on what I see. Let me just quickly test. Okay, it works exactly the same. It works beautiful, right? Yeah, pretty good. Then I think everything is looking good. Let me just quickly check a little bit more. Yeah, this guy is already passed here. So let's remove these guys. We don't need it, right? Yeah, still working beautiful. Then let's try to render the one that's selected above here, just creating some edge cases. I'm gonna have this fragment so that I'm gonna have another group that I can render just for fun, right? And then this time I'm going to iterate items and then render whatever inside of the items state, right? When you add items, it's going to get edits, right? And then let's just change the variant so that it's gonna look a little bit different. Variant bordered for now. Yeah, looking like that. So two items are selected, 0 and 1. Interesting. Something is off, right? Definitely wrong. Because we're using index instead of value, right? So let's change it to value and remove the index, and let's quickly update it. Yeah, like that. Yeah, it's looking beautiful now, right? Yeah, awesome. And I want to override this to add some styling here, okay? So class name, margin bottom, maybe 9.5 REM. Yeah, and then content shifting is happening. Let's give some minimum height for this. Maybe, I don't know, the same as the height of the chips. Then when I delete this, it stays as is, right? Yeah, I like it. Yeah, this one is a story, so it's a little bit messy, but it should be fine, okay? So let me just quickly take a look here, just in case something that I need to worry. This one is fine, based on what I see. Looking good. And this chip selectable is something that we need to worry. Name checked. Oh, we didn't handle the checked as a prompt, right? We need to handle that too. Then we're gonna say if checked is available from parent component directly, then we are gonna assign it. Otherwise, look for the checked value using the context. And then value is passed, looking good. OnChange is passed right here. Just to make sure I don't miss any props, right? If it's harder to read, you can take this one out to separate too. Yeah, it's a little bit more readable. And pass the check. Yeah, I like it. The rest should be good, in my opinion. Then let's make a quick commit and then move to the next one, okay? So here, I'm going to say git add, git commit, add ChipGroup. Of course, this is not everything. Based on the Reddit application here, we need to have some subgroup. It manages state together, but they have subgroups, right? So I want to make that happen here. I'm gonna create one more story here. This time I'm gonna say subgroup. In the subgroup, I'm gonna have multiple chips and title. So inside here, I'm gonna have a couple of div tags to style it, okay? Div tag for subgroup, and I'm gonna have subgroup title. This one will be h3 tag, and I want to have subgroup content with the div tag. Yep, like that. Then when you actually see here, your styling start to get broken. For the first one, we have the chip group that has a flex, right? So what it means, when we have the item that is one item, and then I will have multiple subgroups as an example. Take a look. They're lining up horizontally like this. If we have a title, as an example, title 1 and title 2, I want them to be lining up vertically. Somehow we need to cancel this flex, right? To make that happen, I'm gonna pass the data slot that is chip subgroup. Yeah, I'll be using this guy to style it inside of the chip group, okay? Here, maybe I can separate one. I will have another class name string, and in it, I'm gonna say if it has data slot that is chip subgroup, then I'm gonna make it block. Take a look. It's lining up like this, right? Pretty good. And then I'm gonna have class name to have some spacing in between, okay? I don't know. Let's find the spacing between those two. Yeah, it has gap, right? Then gap 1.5. So in this case, margin bottom 6, right? Yeah, looking good, right? And then let's style the title, right? Currently we have anime and cosplay. Let's mimic as much as possible, okay? I'll have a spawn tag. And for the first element inside of the H3, I will just have a search icon for now. I don't want to have multiple things. Then you see something like this, right? Definitely not exactly the same. So here, I'm going to give the class name, flex items center, and then gap maybe 2. And we need to have some font and colors and all different stuff, right? I'm going to give the cn and the separate class name to style the text. Okay, let's inspect it quickly. This guy has, let me search, font size is 12 pixel. Is it correct? Oh, sorry, I think I was expecting like this guy, right? The font size 14, and maybe I need to know the font weight too. Font weight is not showing up here. Let's go inside. Yeah, H3, it's a bold, right? So here, 14 pixel is small, and font bold. And we need to know the color of the text, which is here. This guy is the color. So I'm going to copy that and then text that. Yeah. Okay, good. Let me just quickly check. Okay, getting there. And then I want to give a small margin too. So I'm going to give the margin bottom, maybe just the one, like that. Yep, this one is good. I like it. What else? We need to have this subgroup content, right? So I'm going to give the class name and give the class name that is exactly the same as previous one, right? This flex one, I'll be passing it to this is subgroup content, like that. Then if I have a multiple items, yeah, I like it. I like it. Then let's try to create reusable components to make it work together, okay? So here we have ChipSubGroup, right? You know what? Let's have the data slot for all the components for now, okay? I'm going to copy and paste. This one is the subgroup title, right? Hold on. We have group title and subgroup title. In this case, let's call it just a group title. How about that? Chip group title. So I'm going to name to chip group title, like that. And then let's give this to the content to chip subgroup content. Yeah. Looking good, looking good. Then let's try to make this component, okay? So I'm going to copy this guy. Inside of the chip group, I'm going to create one more function called chip subgroup that returns this data. I'm going to do self-closing, and I will be receiving the props that is component props that is for data. Then we can pass everything to this component like that. But I want to have class name that can be overwritten, right? So I'm gonna wrap it with the cn function and take out the class name from the prompt and then pass it here. Yeah, looking good, looking good. Then ChipGroup is done. Then I'm gonna copy paste one more. Oh, sorry. Copy paste one more and then create the content here. Of course, we need to have a little bit different, right? The content is using these two, right? So I'm gonna just pass it here, delete this guy. Class name, let's override it with the hereable, and then I'll be deleting this guy. Yeah, looking good. Then the rest should be the same. And what else? The title, right? So we need to have these things, right? So I'm gonna copy paste one more. And then this time I'm gonna call it ChipGroup title. This time it gotta be H3, right? So I'm gonna replace D with the H3. And data slot and everything need to be changed. So I'm gonna copy the title specific and pass it here. Delete all the one. And this class name can go here, right? Then we can delete this guy. Okay, looking good, looking good. Then let's try to replace here, right? I'm gonna delete everything here. I'm gonna have the chip subgroup. Yeah, looking good. Chip subgroup. Yeah, make sure their opening and closing need to be the same, right? And then this one will be, I'm gonna delete all of them and then say chip group title, like that. Yeah, looking good, much shorter. And the subgroup content, also same thing. I'll be deleting all of that. Chip subgroup content, like that. Yeah, much shorter. Then when we have here, maybe I'm gonna copy paste, okay? Then we can reuse them over and over, right? I'm just gonna replace it here like this. Yeah, looking exactly the same. But one thing I don't like is this icon is too big, right? Let me just quickly measure roughly. Yeah, height is 20 pixels. So let's drop it. The way you can do is in the title, we can say the whatever the SVG inside of this component, I'm gonna give the size that is maybe 4 or 5. Then this guy will be smaller, right? 5 is too big, go for 4, right? Maybe 5 seems good. Let's go with the 5. Yeah. Yeah, it's totally up to you how you want to do that, okay? Yeah, but in this case, yeah, for now, let's leave it this way. We can adjust it later. This is minor thing, right? Yeah, I like it. I like it. Then you can mimic this situation exactly the same on this one, right? Let's try it. So here, I want to the title of the chip group here. So chip group title, that is, I forgot. Let me see. Topics, right? Topics, items, the links over 3. Yeah, this is what's happening. And this should be the same exactly. So if you want to override, you can go ahead and do it. I think the differences is font size probably 16 pixel, right? So here you can override it. Class name, the text base. Yeah, looking good. And then we have these. Yeah, currently these two values are duplicating. That's why this thing happening. But we can remove it soon, okay? And then the first chip group is done. And the second chip group with the chip subgroup, first guy is anime and cosplay, right? Yeah, looking good. And from now on, instead of using index, maybe we can consider to pass actual value here. Maybe I can just search and then copy and paste here like that. Oh, sorry, I think I copied the wrong one. This guy, right? Yeah, I cannot do that here. I cannot select this one. Maybe I can find the value. Yeah, copy and paste. And this guy too, cosplay here, like that. And then we can have art here. And then the values will be different too. Yeah, here the same thing. We should not use index. Sorry, I think I forgot to do that here. Let's do value and replace them like that. And we can do it here too. I'm just gonna type it, okay? So performing arts and architecture and what else? Design and just the art, film making. Yeah, and so on and so forth, right? Digital art. Yeah, typo. Yeah, then if you do this and then get the actual value instead. And let's remove the items. Yeah, it's kind of long and a little bit dirty because of these hard-coded values. And we can iterate it later. But for now, I'm just going to hard-code it like this, okay? Then you're going to see something like this. Yeah, let's delete everything. And let's remove this hard-coded items. Let's just have an empty array, okay? Yeah, then let's refresh. Oh, I guess I deleted the wrong one. Sorry, my bad. Not this one. This guy's, right? Yeah, so this versus this, okay? So here, let's just select item, anime, manga. Somehow, I don't know where the item is coming from. I am probably doing something wrong. For use. Oh, here. So let's delete this guy. Yep. Like that. Like that. Yep. Multiple subgroups working together, right? Yeah. So that's exactly what I need. Awesome. And then when one change is happening, we can limit the number of topics, right? If the value on change is longer than 3, then we should not take any actions and send the error to render the message like here, right? But that one will be, outside of ChipGroup scope. So I'll deal with that later, okay? Yeah, I think this will do the job in my opinion. Wow, it's a really, really big story, but that's how I'm gonna use it for now, okay? Yeah, looking good, looking good. Yeah, so let's wrap this one up. I hope I covered everything, but if not, I'm gonna fix it over time, okay? Yeah, maybe we can pass chip the data slot here too. Chip. Yeah, I think everything is okay in my opinion. Yeah, let's remove the comments. Yeah, I don't like them. Yeah, the rest seems okay. Yeah, hopefully I don't find any bugs or error. Let me just quickly check the other stories. Yeah, working good. Yeah, selected. Yeah, all the stories are looking fine for now, but yeah, if we find bugs, then let's tackle it together in the future, okay? So then let me make a commit and then wrap this one up, okay? So git add, git commit, add ChipSubGroup. Yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.